Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love. All of my books are available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible books. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do readings, 30, 60, and 90-minute readings, Twin Flame Romance, Life, Path, and Purpose. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. Welcome to Removing Obstacles Thursdays. Today's topic was brought to us by one of my viewers, Danielle V, and she wanted me to talk about timing in readings, intuition, and predictions, especially for twin flames in this community. I'm going to dig right into this topic because I have a lot to say about the topic of timing. So often when we are focusing on love and romance, and in particular when we are focusing on our twin flame journey, we turn to a lot of psychics, readers, mediums, intuitives in order to help us along this journey, since it is a really, really difficult journey. And I too, myself, I have turned to various coaches and psychics and astrologers along the way just to make sure I'm on the right track. Now, it's not that I don't trust my own intuition. Of course I do. However, sometimes you are really too close to the situation to be able to accurately look at futuristic predictions when it comes to you and your twin flame. So about every 6 months, I do check in with someone. So, and there are various people in my life that I have turned to for guidance. And you yourself, I'm sure you've turned to this channel for guidance, among other channels with tarot card readers, intuitives, maybe other types of readings, such as an Akashic record reading. And one thing that I want to say to you is that, and this is something I say to every single one of my coaching clients, is that timing is very, 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 very hard to predict. Now, you might be wondering why timing is so incredibly hard to predict, because there are psychics out there, I will assure you, there are psychics out there who try to give you very precise dates or precise time frames. And sometimes this works and sometimes this does not work. So the first reason why it might not work when psychics, intuitives, or other people who are giving predictions, such as tarot readers on YouTube channels, is that you have free will. So first of all, you as an individual, you have free will to follow the current path that you are on or to slightly alter that path. Now, when we throw in another person in the mix, or maybe several other people in the mix, what divine guidance has to work with is not only your own individual free will, but everybody's free will around you. And when those people around you, such as your twin flame, or maybe your twin flame is in a relationship with a karmic partner, or there are other players in the mix, such as children, grandchildren, parents, friends, whatever it is. But when you're dealing with so many people's free will, everyone is going to make a move, but they might not make moves in predictable, timely patterns. So what divine guidance can give to you are propensity curves. Now, this is something that I learned from my first teacher in all of this, who was Deepak Chopra. When I was sitting in a seminar with Dr. Deepak Chopra in 2007, someone had asked him about predictions. And in fact, at that point, we were talking about really gifted people who had predicted the terrorist attacks for 9/11/2001. And we were going back to these different worldly events and saying that, yes, there were psychics, there were seers, there were even children who were like severely autistic, but who had intuitive gifts that were predicting various world events that did occur. And they really predicted them to timely precision. And so when someone had asked Dr. Chopra, like, what is that? How can someone predict an event or a happening with such exact precision? And what he had explained and what I learned back in 2007 was there are propensity curves, so that, there's a probability pattern to anything that is predictive. So that includes astrology charts, that includes psychic readings, intuitive readings, mediumship, whatever it is, but there are predictive probability curves that heaven can give to you. And what this means is that if things go along more or less the same lines or the same pathway that things are going, then there is like a 95 to 99% probability curve that things will turn out in that way. However, there's always like a 1 to 5% chance that things will turn out differently based on everybody's free will, like individuals' free will, or for example, in a collective, it would have to be like a major shift in the collective so that, for example, like a major event like the 9/11 attacks in 2001, like would not occur. That would have had to take a lot of people's free will shifting the probability curve, which obviously did not happen. So when we're looking at really individualized events for you and your life and you and your twin flame's life, for example, it's that angels can give you through intuitives, through your own intuition even. This can come through your own intuition. And I'll give you an example in a minute of your own intuition, like guiding you on your twin flame journey. But they can give you predictable probability patterns of what's going to happen, but they can never give you an exact time, unless if it's within like 24 hours. Now, the most accurate messages that I have gotten from my angels about my twin flame journey have come within like a 24-hour window. Anything outside of that 24-hour window, things have gotten really fuzzy when it comes to timing. So for example, if I've asked my angels, will my twin flame reach out to me today? And they say yes, exclamation point. Chances are my twin flame was likely to have reached out to me because it was within a very short time frame. The probability curve did not have so much time to shift or change. They could see it coming. They could see what was happening, and then it actually happened. Now, inversely, if I had suggested to my angels, like, is it in my best and highest good to reach out to my twin flame today, again, within that 24-hour period, and they said yes, or romance, or something like that, it always turned out that when I did, I got a very positive and uplifting response from my twin flame. And the reason being is that the probability patterns that were going in that direction really led them to suggest that my twin flame then was open, willing, and able to receive the messages positively that I was about to send to him. So that is the predictability patterns that tend to work in a very, 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 very short time period. Now, when it comes to a longer time period, such as like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, things get a lot more fuzzy. And in fact, I've read for people, for example, that I coach on a regular basis who have this constant shifting timeline, and it gets really frustrating for them. So for example, when I'm doing a reading, sometimes it will come out like, oh, there will be a lot of movement in your twin flame relationship in the spring. And then a month later, I will read for them. And then it'll be like, oh, there will be movement in the summer. And then the next reading a month later might be like, oh, there'll be good shifting movement in the fall. And then I have clients who get really frustrated because they're like, wait a minute. Like 3 months ago, you said it was going to happen in the spring and it didn't happen in the spring. And now they're saying fall. Like, what gives here? Well, what gives is that it is all dependent on that person's twin flame's trajectory on their own individual path and their free will and the free will choices that they've made up until that moment. Now, between the readings, let's say, that are a month apart, you might not see a lot of movement because if your other person, or if you even make a different choice, then that's going to make the timelines stretch out a little bit. Or Inversely, it could make those timelines come a little bit closer together. So it's just really interesting about how timing works. And that's why I always shy away from timing in readings, because I always say like it's never super accurate, it's just not. So the other thing I wanted to say about timing and things coming true in readings, especially predictive readings, even predictive astrology, is that when I was learning how to do readings with my two teachers, Radleigh Valentine and Doreen Virtue, and some of you that may have followed Doreen Virtue know that she is no longer doing tarot readings, angel readings, all of that. But at the time that I was learning, which was the beginning of 2016, when I was taking the course with her and Radleigh Valentine, one of the things that she said is that if a client is saying what you're reading does not make sense, tell them to hold on to that reading and let you know if it does not come true within the next 5 years. And I found that pretty amusing because as a reader, for example, when you're reading for an individual, now reading for a collective obviously is very, very different because you're reading for a much bigger pool. And so that if you, as a viewer, are sitting there watching a reading that is a collective reading for a much bigger pool, the things may or may not apply to you. But if you are getting an individual reading with somebody, and that reader is reading accurately, meaning they're really tuned into their intuition, they're not in their ego, they've relinquished control over to God and the angels, then that reader is receiving intuitive messages for you for that reading that may not make any sense at all for the current time period that you are actually in. But they are more predictive messages for a potential future, again, with that probability curve that if you continue along the same lines in which you are going, then things will probably unfold like that. But what my teacher, Doreen Virtue, was saying at the time was that sometimes when you're doing an individual reading for a person, the timing of that coming into fruition in the real 3D world can extend to up to like 5 years. So that's why she had made the safe bet of saying, if a client is not satisfied or they're saying like things are not coming true that you had predicted in your reading, ask them to check back with you in 5 years and let you know. So the interesting piece is that I've been doing readings since about that time, since the beginning of 2016. And I have had so many clients come back to me and let me know that the reading that I had given to them did come true. Sometimes it came true right away, but sometimes it was like 6 months to a year down the road that things actually came into fruition and they were able to see it in a better, clearer light. So that is another thing, is that if something in a reading does not make sense to you today, and you want to hold on to that reading through a recording, then I would say listen to that reading again in 6 months just to see if the predictive patterns that were in that reading did actually come into your 3D existence. So I think that's a really, really good way to mark those parameters. The next thing I want to say about timing in readings, predictions, your own intuition, is that even through your own intuition as a twin flame, the predictive patterns may not follow the same timeline that you are following right now. So when I was early on in my twin flame journey, I would receive intuitive messages about my twin flame and us coming together in 3D reunion. This was really, really, really early in the journey. And it seemed that all of the intuitive messages that I was receiving on a daily basis, this wasn't even like once a week, it was every single day, was leading me toward the belief system that my twin flame and I were going to be into 3D reunion together as a romantic couple in like days, weeks, months, like very, very soon from the time that I was receiving all of these intuitive messages. And when it wasn't unfolding the way I had seen in my intuitive messages, according to the timeline, I was extremely frustrated and I began to not trust my intuition. And what ended up happening was I became very disheartened. I became really, really disheartened because I knew what I was hearing. I knew the intuitive messages that were coming through. They were so incredibly crystal clear that I wasn't getting it. So then as time went forward, what I did realize was that I was seeing accurate messages. The messages I was receiving were actually accurate. It's just that the timing and timeline was slightly off from what I was seeing. So it's almost like my angels were giving me a sneak peek, a preview to a movie that was not coming out till a year or two down the road. I was seeing all the trailers, all the previews, I was seeing the reviews, I was getting a behind the scenes talk with the cast members, but the movie itself, the finished product, wasn't to come out until, let's say, 2021, 2022. And so it was like really frustrating because I wasn't believing in my own intuition after that. So if you too have been receiving predictive, intuitive messages about you and your twin flame and coming together into union, just know that the intuitive messages are likely to be very accurate. It's just that it's the sneak peek preview and not the actual full movie release yet. And so write those down, write those intuitive messages down. I would say don't shy away from the messages that you are receiving. Do write them down so that you can record this. And then when they start to unfold in the real 3D world, if you will, when they start to unfold, then you can refer back to those messages and say like, wow, I can't believe how this actually unfolded. And the messages that I had received and what it says here that I've written down. So it's a really, really good way to see that. So I would just say to you, if you are watching a lot of readings on YouTube and you're getting frustrated and concerned because they seem to be resonating with you, but you don't see it unfolding in your 3D world right now, it just may mean that you're on a different timeline and that it's not meant for you in this timeline, like right now, where you're at right now, but it's something that you can put away, put in your back pocket, and then see it unfold a little bit later, because of course it all revolves around everybody's free will choices. So I hope this was helpful to put in perspective how timing works with readings, predictions, and intuitive messages. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with other twin flames. And thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy a book or 2 or 3. You can join a boot camp. You can pledge your support on Patreon, www.patreon.com/MichelleFondin. And I will see you in the next video.